Okay, we are back. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. Apparently, my computer is being a bit of a jerk this evening. But we're back to Jeopardy Live panel. We've got another member of our panel, Corey Harris, has gone from asking the questions on Twitter to joining us on camera this evening. So thanks for joining us, Corey.
Sure, I cannot let this go.
But for those watching at home, all you have to do is ask enough questions, and you'll just pop in magically.
Apparently, yes. Which means our next person coming in. I guess we have a question for everyone from Elissa Flagg, and I believe that one was, what's watching Jeopardy like when after you've been on it?
I think I have a lot more sympathy for people that freeze up and can't come up with an answer now than I did before. Before I would kind of, yell and throw things at the TV, and now I think, well, everybody does that once in a while. Sorry it happened to them then.
What about the rest of you?
Well, I guess, the first few days or weeks after my taping, it was sort of just oh, there's that stage, and I was just, picturing, because it looks different on TV than it does in person, and so I was just sort of, picturing it, and I don't know, after that, though, I don't really even remember that much what this stage, looked like, so, it's more sort of just yeah, I tend to dislike sometimes when people people say things about the contestants, or when they refuse. I really, really hate it when people refuse to watch tournaments. I don't like that at all, and it's just I think that's after I went on, I was just became a lot more defensive about some things that people said on the internet.
The internet sure is fun.
What I found is that when you watch at home, it's a lot easier to keep track of who has how much money, what clues are left on the board. Because when you're when you're watching on TV, you just watch the person. After they buzz in, you get the three people, and you're just watching them. And when you're playing the game, you're trying to keep track of so many things at once. And anyone who's played, most of the time you're playing the game, you're just waiting for Alex to finish reading so you can buzz in. That's the only focus you have for 90% of the game, it feels like. And so it's just hard to keep track of every single little thing because you've got one singular focus the whole time you're up. And so people who are really good at the game can juggle all that really well. And it gives you a deeper appreciation not for their knowledge, but their kind of multitasking abilities.
Yeah,
so I'm much less judgmental about people who don't know how much they have and don't have, and you look up and try, you can't really do the math. They don't they give you it feels like you only have 2 seconds to make wages.
So no, I agree with that. Something that people on the J board commented a lot about my semifinal round was that nobody, we didn't seem to be looking for daily doubles, and that of three left clues, 2 of them were daily doubles, and what kind of idiots are we that we weren't looking for them? I swear to God, it didn't occur to me that there were still daily doubles left. I was just trying to focus and answer the questions. I really could have been better on strategy like that, but it's kind of all consuming when you're doing it. I feel like.
It is. The one that I hate is when they get people oh my God, you made the wrong wager on the daily double, and I'm when you hit a daily double, it's sort of just you look at it, you're oh my God, I love this category, or oh my God, I hate this category, and you don't think about why should I bet to have the optimal game theory thing here, that's for Final Jeopardy.
Well, I mean, I think that's a lot of. I've noticed. I mean, the internet especially the JBoard section of the internet, tends to focus too much, I think, on strategy, especially one or two of the posters, and I that's one of the reasons why I don't spend more time at over on JBoard, to be honest with you, is because I've grown tired of a lot of that.
Yeah, I just joined JBoard a couple of days ago, or not a couple of days, like 2 weeks ago, and yeah, there's one or two posters where it's just I don't want to hang around there just because I don't want to deal with them. But yeah.
Ironically, I make by far the most posts on JBoard actually in the Learned League thread. So
yeah, hey Arya, can you tell me a little bit more about Learned League, because I'm joined for.
Oh, you did.
Corey, you haven't
Yeah,
joined yet,
I
but
joined
Jason
too.
did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing it, and
Well,
how do you feel about the questions?
This is gonna be my 4th season, I think. Yeah, my 4th season, and I think it's really, really fun. 'Cause like every day, you know, you get the questions, and then you get the defense. You sign the defense, and you have to agonize all day over. Because I know I do it in the morning, so it's just like you agonize all day over, like, oh my god, like my opponent gonna get this or that, you know. And the questions are like harder than Jeopardy, by like kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Like I remember I was doing Learned League last summer, like before, like when the Jeopardy was on the summer break, and then Jeopardy came back on. I was like, oh my god, these questions are so easy compared to Learned League. But like, I don't know. I guess I was surprised by how many of them I got, because I thought I was gonna be worse at it than I was. But I mean, that's coming from someone who's in the lowest level Rundle, so I don't know. I mean, I guess there's not that much worse that I could actually be at it, but
But Arya, does everyone get the same questions, and
Yeah,
then you're just
they do.
against people at your level? Is that
yeah.
right?
After like your first season, because your first season you just like play with like people that are all kinds of levels, so they determine what level you are, and then after that they put you like based on level, and everyone across the whole league like has the same questions. So, but you just play the people that are at your level.
Okay.
Or if you're
Or you,
lucky enough to be in a private Rundle, it
if you're
could
a
be
masochist, like
one of
me.
your friends.
I was looking at the private Rundle roster. I was like, we're gonna end up with like 0 points.
Yes, I'm sure Pat Kavanaugh thought that too, and look what happened to her.
Yeah, but she's an A Rundle, or she's gonna be at least.
Yeah, she's going to be. But let's take, if we can take this back away from Learned League for a
Yeah,
second
sorry.
and back around to the finals. Jason and Jill, how did you feel about your respective chances after the first game of the finals? I'm pretty sure you probably felt pretty good about things, Jason. How about you? I guess I still do want to hear from both of you.
Well, I would say after the first game, I was still feeling like an idiot for missing elements of style, and that was kind of haunting me, which I would have been better off probably if I'd just shaken it off. But I went into the second game, really trying to make a good run for it, and trying to beat both Jason and Kaberi. I think like now in retrospect, maybe I should have been, gunning for second, because I wasn't that far from second. But Kaberi had tons and tons of knowledge.
For sure.
And she's an excellent player.
Mhm.
So I mean, she certainly deserves all the success that she got.
I was feeling confident. A lot of my friends told me over the weekend that it was really obvious you were going to win based on the first game. And I was like, didn't feel that way in the moment. I felt good. I don't know. I felt like I probably had the best shot, but that doesn't mean anything. 12,000 is not nearly as much as it sounds like in the game.
Mm-hmm.
If I had gotten off to I knew if I had gotten off to a slow start that it wouldn't have mattered, that I had a pretty good advantage going into that last game. So I made a decision like very early on, like, try to just get out as far as I could, as fast as I could, and I guess it worked out. I don't know.
Well, I mean, in that second game of the finals, you had 9,200 after the Jeopardy round.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it obviously still wasn't over at that point, but
I had my foot on the gas pedal, I guess. I don't know how else to put it.
So we have a fun request on the hashtag, sorry, that I just saw. I have my command line Twitter going here because doesn't take up a lot of memory. And again, I apologize because my computer's being a piece of junk tonight. But Liz Fritz is like, not watching it, I'm at work. But I thought I'd ask, is there any way you could coordinate a Jeopardy live panel that is just me and Louis C.K.? Thanks in advance.
Did he win tonight? I didn't watch. Did he win tonight?
I haven't watched yet.
Yeah, I didn't
do you
watch
want
either.
me to spoil you guys?
No.
Okay, fine. Fair enough.
I mean, they can always go look at. You can always put in a plug for your website right here. It's just,
Stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go look right now.
I looked earlier.
But there seemed to be a lot of what some people think that the celeb games get a completely different audience from the regular games, judging by some of the comments I see. But I guess sorry, and I apologize in advance for bringing this up, Jill.
Oh, okay.
But we have an instance of hashtag Know Your Canada that came up in the final.
Hey, I have to say, in
With
my
the-
defense, I did an interview with Sam, who does the radio grindcore, who does the show in the Winnipeg station,
Mhm.
and I apologized to all Canadians on that radio show, and he said, hey, don't worry about it. I didn't know it until about a year ago when it came up on the show. So there you go. No, and Kristen Sauceville also messaged me and said she missed the same one, which then I felt bad because I had watched her entire run when I was practicing and forgotten about it, but oh well.
Was that the
Great Bear Lake.
Yeah.
Did you know Great Bear Lake, Jason?
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay. You're too much of a gentleman.
We'll go with
God, I knew it.
that.
Yeah. Kaberi probably knew it too.
I was about.
Only because I spent the entire night before studying bodies of water.
Wow.
That was like I had 2 hours of studying the night before on just lakes and rivers.
That's great.
That's crazy.
And we had a rivers category, so it worked.
True.
Mm-hmm. So there's a third question that you sent onto the hashtag, Corey, that you didn't get a chance. That I didn't get a chance to ask before we lost the connection the first time.
Corey
Would
Harris.
you like to just flat out ask it of Jason, or?
Yeah. Oh boy, here we go.
No, it's a question that I want because I really want you to win the Tournament Champions.
So do I.
And
Be honest.
And I'm only asking because you're smarter than I am, but I still could have won if I had known Eugene McCarthy. And watching the game, you were very much, you were in the lead, and you went up in that last we had 2 categories left, and you went up to the top, and you didn't answer the next 2 questions, and then I got the daily double. But I'm wondering if you're going to try to be more aggressive toward daily doubles if you do have a lead to lock out people who could pull it off despite the fact that they don't deserve it.
That's a good question. Yes, I'm gonna try to be a little bit more aggressive during the Tournament of Champions. I mean, I can't. Yeah, I don't know situationally what's going to happen, but if I have the opportunity, let's put it this way: I'm not going on a White House tour with anybody from the Tournament of Champions. As much
You
as
never know.
that's true, but as much as I like Buzzy and Andrew and Sam and whoever else has qualified or is close to qualifying, we're not going to be joking about Thomas Jefferson creating the White House Wi-Fi password, or talking about how every single game has a thing about Silent Spring. Was that you or was that Pete who said that?
That was me.
That was you.
Hey, I got Silent Spring in the final. That's how if I hadn't gotten Silent Spring, I wouldn't have hit whatever. Oh, Elements of Style that I blew. I was like, every time I watched that with my students, I was like, why did I have to get
Jill, the only reason you got that one is because Corey and I had been talking about it, and I laughed. So I was laughing to myself, but I was like, oh, that's really funny. And then I was like, oh, I got beaten on the buzzer on that one.
No, we were literally talking before the show, and I said the hard thing about being English teachers is that they assume you know like every like piece of literature. I was looking through old games, and there was a nonfiction category. I'm like, who even reads Silent Spring anymore? And then you said that you'd read it for class, and like Pete was like, he knew Rachel Carson from something else, and like it came up in a nonfiction category. Like when the category came up, I was like, they're going to play Silence. They're going to do that.
I did the same thing.
And it was just a funny serendipitous moment, and the fact that you couldn't pull it out after you talked about it was even funnier.
Yeah.
Or you could have, but you just didn't get it.
Did not in time. But yeah, I guess I'm going to try to be more aggressive. I don't know. I'm not going to be like. I don't hate Buzzy. Buzzy's been very nice on Facebook, but I'm gonna, I'm there to win.
Yeah, make us proud, Jason. You can do it.
I hope so. I hope to do.
Had you been watching the Final Wager at all?
Yes, I have.
Okay, good.
Quite a bit. That's been a lot of my my prep work so far. I mean, I don't know when they're going to call me for the Tournament Champions, but
I think it's going to be a while, honestly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if it wasn't until like January. Honestly.
Oh, at least.
I mean, there's been like a whole dearth of long-term champion.
Yeah.
Like I said, only Sam from the college championship, me, Andrew Powell, and Buzzy have qualified so far.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, obviously there's a couple 4-game winners and there's Philip, but it's
last season too, and then there was like 15 different winners in a row or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a feeling, we may see a maybe we'll see a run this summer of 5-time champs. Who knows? It could happen.
You have a point. But I think there's only been 2 4-game champs this season, I think. I might be wrong about that. I've been maybe 3. So not many long-term runs regardless.
Yeah.
So.
True. But I'm pretty sure my personal guess is that they'll probably try to work it so that Philip is the 15th person in.
I agree. That's my guess too.
Yeah.
Even
considering how popular he is, but.
Yeah, I liked watching his games. He won 3, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But with a lot of money.
Yeah, 90-something thousand. Yeah.
So, going back to the whole English teacher thing, and how did there seemed to be a lot of negativity on the internet regarding the African American authors category.
Oh God, don't get me started.
How so? I missed it.
That's probably a good thing.
Is that one of those they save the category for last, therefore they're racist things?
Oh no, we didn't.
No, it was played second.
Country save for last.
It was just that on that category, Jill, you got 400. 812 were Stand in the Stairs. Then there was the Daily Double, which Jill missed. And then 2000, Jill took a neg, and then nobody rebounded. So I think people were the general tenor of the comments that I saw about it were of the maybe there should be more authors of color in the curriculum.
Oh, I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely more positive comment than I was expecting.
Yeah, but I mean, people aren't going to put Rollins books into a curriculum, right?
True.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. And Beloved, Toni Morrison, obviously, it's not that I didn't know it. I just blanked out. I totally froze and panicked and whatever because I've read Beloved and know somebody who she worked with at Princeton and listened to an NPR about her. I mean, it's not that I am ignorant of Toni Morrison.
Yeah.
I was hoping, what was the 2000 clue that I negged on?
It was Jason who negged on it.
Oh, that was me, yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Jason, I'm sorry. I misread my...
Yeah, I was like, boy, I can't believe I had that much guts. Huh?
I completely misread my notes. Yes, it was the Chester Himes.
Yeah. So
sorry about that. Yeah.
No, that's okay. I was hoping for. I'll tell you who I was hoping for was Phyllis Wheatley, because I had just seen an exhibit about her at the Smithsonian the day before, and I was like, "Ooh, that's perfect. I bet they're going to ask about Phyllis Wheatley." No, they did not.
That was one of the questions I got right on at the audition.
Oh.
I was very happy.
Yeah.
But if you look at the questions, it's not like, I mean, we could name like African American authors and do plenty of works by them, but like the questions, like the one Jason got, it was basically got wrong was wordplay.
No, what kills me though is
6-word title in the rhyme, eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
I have If He Hollers, Let Him Go, and I was like, I know this one. What was the title of that?
Yeah.
But like like the reasonable answer would be Catch a Tiger by the Toe. It's just it's I mean, how many people? I mean, it's not really a question so much on African American authors. It was really a question on
do you know
which part of the rhyme will you say and get it right.
I know for me, like I think I've actually read a book called Catch a Tiger by the Toe. It was obviously like not the same book, but I remembered that, and so I thought that was totally it because I knew it was a real book. But like, no.
Yeah. But as soon as Alex said no, I was like, oh God, I have this. Why would I say that?
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the thing.
If He Hollers, Let Him Go.
Oh well.
It's in my bedroom because we have so many books and we have no space anymore. Our floor is lined with books. My son's
Yeah. By the way, just to interject here, there are 3 4-timers so far: Fred Vaughn, Tim Kutz, and Todd Giese.
I forgot Todd.
Giese, okay. Sorry, yeah, Todd, Fred, Tim, and Todd. So if you count Philip as the top 3, that means I think you've got 8 spots. Kind of quasi-spoken for at this point, which means, between now and even November, that's plenty of time for 7 more to fill out a field.
Yeah, I looked on the J Archive, and at this point last season, there was 9 people that ended up qualifying that had already played, plus I think like one more person that had started their run, but they hadn't finished. So I didn't count them because you have to have lost to qualify.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so I'm just curious. Did you guys, after the tournament was over, did you watch any of the other tapings, like the Power Players or the teens?
I know Chris went to some of the Power Players tapings. I don't know beyond that. The team, that was Tuesday?
We taped on Sunday. The team were Tuesday and Wednesday, so we were all gone.
Yeah, I was gone.
Yeah. They had us fly in on Thursday and leave on Monday. So, but Chris went to the Power Player taping. That was on Saturday before us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question to Jill, I know you mentioned all your preparation on the buzzer the last time, but how much more difficult was the signaling device playing against Jason, who'd mastered it already? And also, to Jason, how much easier was preparation for the semis, knowing that you'd figured out the signaling device already?
Well, after the quarterfinals, I felt really confident about my buzzing.
Okay.
But then it turns out, now that I read the statistics, I didn't have very good buzzer skills at all. But I didn't feel that way. When I was playing, I felt like, hey, when I went in, I just got in, and I didn't ring in if I didn't know it. Hannah outbuzzed me, it turns out, quite a bit.
Yeah, Hannah was fast on the buzzer.
Huh?
Hannah was fast on the buzzer.
She was. She was a good player. And then in my semifinal round, then when we practiced in Washington, D.C., I was just really struggling on that buzzer. And I thought my mojo is gone, and wasn't it great I got to have a trip here? And so I was really happy when it came back, and I felt like it came back in the semifinal round. Yeah, Jason beat me to a lot of stuff, which was frustrating, but good for you, Jason.
Sorry.
I mean, you're a much better person to have go to the Tournament of Champions for sure. Not that I wouldn't have liked
$100,000. For me, honestly, with a 6-week gap, I don't think I kind of forgot how to use the buzzer in the interim. During the semifinal practice is when I sort of remembered how to do it, and it took me a couple of questions in our semifinal game to get back into the groove again. I know when you were watching, Andy, you were saying for my quarterfinal game, it looks like Jason figured out how to use the buzzer 2/3 of the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I think it took me a little bit in the semifinal to get reacclimated to that as well. But I think by the time the finals rolled around, I was, I was in, I guess is the best way to put it.
I wish you would have taken a little longer to figure it out again.
I understand. I don't know what to say to that.
I wish you dropped it, or
I was so nervous I just shattered it in my hand. Oh no! I'll just shake the lectern. I'm answering.
Just go sit on Abe Lincoln's lap and a Zoltar machine, and
I wanted to. Maggie said no. I said to her right before our game started, I don't know if you heard me, I was like, hey, can I go sit on Abe's lap? And she was like, Al Franken tried to break it. Oh wait, is Kabir here? Kabir? Hey!
Oh, Kabiri, hello.
Can you see and hear me?
Yep.
Oh, we can hear you quietly.
That would be a first. I have never been quiet in my entire life.
We hear you. I hear you clearly.
me too.
When you did promos, did they have to turn down the boom mic? Because they did that.
It's entirely possible, yes.
They did that for me. They were like, "Oh wait, she's too loud."
I have the classic big teacher voice.
Wait, can you guys hear Kabiri okay? Because apparently I can't.
Oh yeah, I hear
Yeah.
I can
Okay,
hear
so
fine.
clearly it's my fault. Okay, sorry. I'll work on that then. Okay.
This is the first time that I've done this, so I may be doing it wrong. I don't know.
Nope, you're good. We're good there. I can hear you now.
So what are we talking about?
So what are we talking about? I think we were just talking about we were
Buzzing, I think.
Sorry, where
Buzzing.
were we?
Yeah, buzzing in.
Oh, my
This signaling device,
nemesis.
yes.
Buzzer.
In the Nemesis.
Yeah, hey, I mean, I have to say straight out, Kaberi, that you were definitely really, really good at winning games in spite of having difficulty on the signaling device.
I have no explanation for that. I specifically remember my semifinal game, which is the only game which I won, and you would never have known it from the first half of the game because Pete and Nicole were getting in ahead of me every single time.
Yeah, actually, guess what? That is actually completely 100% true. I have the numbers in front of me, and that is in fact the case. You did not get in first on the signaling device once that entire Jeopardy round.
Wow.
I think
Yeah.
the one question that I got was one that Nicole buzzed in on first,
Mhm.
and she ended up not getting it. I think it might have been C.S. Lewis, Clive Staples Lewis. But
Yes.
outside of that, Glenn had to come to me during the commercial break and do a little buzzer tutorial because I just could not get in.
Well, that's what the show is there for too, to make, as long as you're having difficulty, they'll still, they'll go up and they'll have that tutorial, and hey, it worked out for you. Yeah, you did reasonably well on the buzzer in the second round.
Yeah,
Made
he
for,
must have done something right because I guess I got the hang of it.
made for a great game, too.
This is what I hear from other people. I remember it, but I remember that at the end of the game, I could not figure out how I won, and I was very anxious when that show was going to come on. I told people, I said, I really want to see what happened because I have no idea how that happened.
Well, it looked like you won because of the daily doubles that you got and bet a lot of money on, and got them both right. And that's just as much of a part of it, or just as much a part of the game as being really quick on the buzzer, like Jason.
It is, and in hindsight, I get it, but at least being quick on the buzzer is something that you have control over.
Yep.
And the daily doubles you have almost no control over. And when I went after the show to look at comments from people and read emails from people, so many people used words like gutsy and fearless, and I don't remember thinking any of that at the time. At the time, as far as I remember it, it was just arithmetic.
Well, that I like that thought, because I think it just goes to show that, well, at least from my perspective, it's not really money. It's just points. And you did what you needed to do in terms of, the proper arithmetic to put yourself in a winning position.
That's more or less how I remember it, except that I knew that if I were going to go on, I needed to win. And I remember saying to myself, if I get it, I'll be good. And if I don't, I won't be at zero. I will at least have a chance of catching up again.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can never assume, as those of us who are here know, you can never assume that even if you're familiar with the topic, that you'll get a question that you're going to know.
Yep.
You always have to account for the possibility that maybe you'll run into something that you don't know. But given that, you do the arithmetic and you do whatever you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have nothing to say against that for sure. Now, I've asked Jason and Jill this already, but now that you've joined us, I'll ask you the same question. What did you feel your chances were after the first game when Jason had his big lead?
You know, on the one hand, at that point, Jason had a big lead. Jill also had a big lead. They were obviously strong players. So I didn't really anticipate getting out of third place. But I have to say, and I said this to everybody at the tournament, anybody who was there may remember my saying this, from the very beginning, from the moment that I got the phone call in January, I decided that my motto for the tournament was going to be nothing but grateful. Because in the paperwork that they give you at the beginning, they tell you, even if we invite you on, you might not be on the show, and even if you're on the show, we might not air the show, and even if we air the show, you might not get the money. So it's pretty clear that things could still go wrong. Any number of things could still go wrong. But I decided that even if things went dreadfully wrong, even if I flew out to LA and then wasn't on the show or something went wrong, I decided just the fact that I got the phone call was enough for me. I was going to be nothing but grateful. And then, of course, most of those things didn't go wrong. So I remember when I somehow made it into the final, which, as I say, at the end of my semifinal game, I remember sitting down and thinking, I don't know how that just happened. But at that point, it was all gravy. No matter what happened, I was going to be delighted with the result. So when I looked at my result at the end of the first game, naturally I would have liked to be in a better position, but it didn't even occur to me to be upset.
And it just turned into basically do the best I can on day two?
Yeah, pretty much. It so happens that at the end of day two, Jill unfortunately stumbled a little, and it occurred to me that there was something somehow unfair about my using that to my advantage.
No.
But at the same time, that's how the game is played. You gotta play the game is played. So at that point, again, it was a question of arithmetic. I could see from the arithmetic that all I had to do was bet nothing, and I would end up in second place.
And it was close on that, Kaberi.
It was close.
If I would have gotten one more question, you would have had to bet something.
That's
right?
absolutely true.
Yeah. And then if I would have bet nothing, I've replayed it in my head a million times.
I'm sure you have.
Uh-huh.
We all have moments and questions that we have replayed over and over again. And I remember it when I watched my semifinal game back. I said to myself, oh, I just got really lucky. And when I finally posted after the game, I used the word fortuitous. I said I was fortuitous to find the Daily Doubles. I was fortuitous to get categories I was comfortable with. I was fortuitous that I found the Daily Doubles at the end, so I could wager a lot of money. So that was when it became really clear to me that Jeopardy is about whether or not you know the information, but it also has a heavy element of luck.
Very much so.
I told people from the very beginning, after it was all over and I looked at what happened, the matchups. If I had been in Jason in my quarterfinal round, I would not have left my quarterfinal round. That would have been the end for me. Because everybody that Jason faced, goodbye.
No, Nicole made it to the semifinals. I played Nicole in my quarterfinal, and she was a wild card.
This is true. But the matchups made a world of difference. If you got paired against the wrong person, too bad for you. So everything from the matchups to the categories to whether you found the daily doubles to when you found the daily doubles, all of that affects how you do and has zero to do with whether or not you know the answers to the questions.
Mm-hmm. So, to ask the question again that I asked the rest of the panel already, Kaberi, what's it like to watch Jeopardy now that you've been on?
I'll let somebody else have a chance to talk.
Well, the other ones have already answered this question. That's
okay. I'm sorry. This is what I get for coming in at the end of the conversation. Mostly it's fun, but I was fortunate in that I did well. I've heard from people who were on Jeopardy and didn't do as well as they had hoped. Some of them didn't even watch their game when it finally aired. And others maybe did watch their game, but after a while they were done with Jeopardy, and I get that. In my particular case, although I was a fan of the show and have been for many years, I don't think that I'm necessarily the oldest person in the tournament, but I'm certainly close.
Chris is older than you, Kaberi.
That
he told me that. I think Chris is 10 years old. I think Chris is like late 50s.
That is possible.
Mm-hmm.
I actually remember when Art Fleming hosted the tournament. That tells you how old I am. So I've been watching it for many years, and I am definitely a fan of the show. But in spite of that, here in the Chicago area, the show airs at 3:30, which means, in particular, I don't have DVR, which means that if I don't get home from school in time, I'm not watching the show. So I would watch every now and then. I knew how the show worked, but I still am not necessarily what you would call like a Jeopardy nerd. So I enjoy the show. I'm watching Power Players Week. I will probably watch for a week or two after Power Players Week. But probably when the summer kicks in, I will find other things to do. And it's not that I'm bitter or don't feel like watching the show anymore. I was just never addicted to the show in the first place. But as I say, I enjoy it. When I run across it, even on vacation and stuff, I'm like, oh, Jeopardy! Let's watch Jeopardy. But if I miss it for some reason, I don't feel like I've missed out. So I feel good about watching the show, but I don't feel like I need to watch the show.
I think that's a very interesting perspective, and especially coming from somebody I wonder how it would be different if Jeopardy happened to air at, say, New York time, say 7 o'clock or 7:30.
I think there's a good chance that I would probably watch it a little more often than I do. I will say this. I was just watching today. I was watching Louis C.K. and Kate and Jonathan, and at the moment I'm blanking on what their last names are.
Jonathan and Kate Bolden? Is that what it is? I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that. I do remember watching the show, and it so happened that, the Power Players Week, they taped the day before, they taped our shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I had asked Maggie a couple weeks before if I could get tickets, and I did, but it was the only ticket that they were able to get me was for the very last game. So I had been able to watch one of those games. That was actually my first experience in DAR because it was the day before. And that was actually a unique experience because I was in the last game in my quarterfinal round, and Corey will sympathize with this. I had never seen the show from the audience before. I didn't know what it looked like to see it from the audience. So my first experience seeing the show from the audience was in DAR Hall, which is a little bit different from watching it in the studio. I still haven't watched it in the studio.
You played the first semifinal game too, so you actually never got to see any games of Jeopardy until you've already played two.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I told Jason in a Facebook post later. I said I played my first final game, and I played my first semifinal game, and at that point, I had not seen anybody else play.
Mm-hmm.
So I sat in the audience and I watched Jill's game, and then Jill came down and sat with me, and then I watched Jason's game, and when I watched Jason, I still remember, and I was reminded when I watched the show on TV. I watched him go through that dodge category, and I thought,
So when did you hear from me?
this is bad. I have gotten myself into a whole mess of trouble.
And I'm still winning then.
I'm sorry for being scary.
You will always be the Jasonator.
The Jasonator.
I have dubbed Jason the Jasonator because
I'll
he
take it.
terminates everything that becomes cross. And I fully expect him to do the same in the Tournament of Champions. That's what I'm expecting.
Thank you.
But so my first experience watching the show from the audience was that night in DAR. That happened to be the last show. So when I saw it, I specifically remember today, when I happened to watch it today, I was watching them on the stage, and I suddenly said to myself, I've been there. I was on that stage in that same spot. And it was just the most extraordinary feeling. It was very cool. But similar to the entire Jeopardy experience, I kept saying to myself, I am here doing things that thousands of people around the country would kill to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to do it 4 times, and I still can't believe that happened.
Yeah, I mean that I would say that's quite accurate. That there are plenty of people who would kill to be up on that stage once, and you got to do it 4 times.
It's just, I'm sure there's an English expression for that kind of luck, but I can't come up with it right now.
So, what was it like having Jill Biden read out a Final Jeopardy for you?
It was amazing. At the same time, I mean, just to have the privilege to meet her was fabulous. I am not normally the kind of person that is starstruck. I have a friend who's been to different events with me. He's always trying to encourage me to, oh, so-and-so is coming to this theater, we should go see him, or that sort of thing. And while I enjoy that sort of thing, I don't necessarily go up and ask for autographs, because my feeling is always, this person, even if I get their autograph, or even if they, give me their picture, or sign a book for me, whatever it is, it's not like they know me, they're not going to remember me, I'm one of thousands of people that they're going to meet. So it doesn't feel personal, and I don't place that much meaning on it. And that was sort of how I felt about meeting Dr. Biden. I was very pleased, but we didn't exactly have any personal conversation. It so happened, now that I think about it, that was my semifinal round, which had what I will forever think of as my Dhaka moment. and something that most people on TV have very little awareness of. But that, for me, that is the moment that defined that game. And in some ways, it defined the whole tournament for me. So when I won, we all went at the end to stand over by Alex and Dr. Biden. And we talked a little. I don't remember Dr. Biden saying anything of any significance. So, again, it was very exciting to meet her, but I'm sure she's forgotten the whole thing by now. It just wasn't anything personal.
Okay, that's fine. Now, was having her deliver that Final Jeopardy clue any sort of a clue that it might be the GI Bill?
Not for me. I'm going to be honest with you, I was not aware that she was an educator. I did know that she was working for the military and not actually working for the military, but working to support the troops and their families. But the category was legislation, and after we watched it back, after we watched all of the semifinals back on TV, people said, specifically about my semifinal and about the next one, which was Jill's semifinal, people said, oh, those questions were so easy. And they kind of were. But the categories did not give that away at all. Because legislation, I looked at legislation and I thought, oh, no. I cannot name, HR Bill X71. And I don't recall specifically what Pete and Nicole wagered, although I do recall that Pete did not go all in on his wager. I don't think I did either. So the category was not something that was promising. And when the question finally came up, I know I said to myself, oh, the GI Bill, I think I actually know this one, remarkably enough. And the same with Jill's Final Jeopardy, because their category was art models. And again, we were in the audience and we all looked at each other like, what? Art models? What? But then when the photograph came up again, we were like, oh, well, gee. So I didn't. The fact that Dr. Biden was reading the clue was not enough. As I say, I had an awareness that she was trying to help the military troops, but I was so thrown by the category that I didn't immediately say to myself, oh, we must be talking about the GI Bill.
Yeah, I know everybody under the sun, everyone knows the American Gothic one, but it is actually kind of special to me because I'm from Iowa, and we actually have, people have statues of it in their lawn and stuff. So the Des Moines Register made this big deal about, local teacher wins semifinal with Iowa clue, as if I were the only person in the world that would ever get it. But that was kind of fun. But
it was rigged.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I'm kind of at the point where I'm curious to know if anyone on the panel has any questions for anyone else on the panel at this point.
I have a question for Aria.
Yes.
Do you think you're going to play Quiz Bowl or College Bowl or what have you, or do you play Quiz Bowl now in high school?
I wish I did. My school it's a long story, but yeah, I would be interested in doing that at some point because I think it's really cool and fun. So
I think it's really fun. I would recommend it to any person. I think it's really fun.
Aria, what's your top choice for college?
Don't ask me that question.
Fair enough.
We're all teachers, so we're going to ask you teacher questions.
Did you do your homework tonight?
Right.
I did some of it.
Okay, coming in on the hashtag again with from Alyssa Flagg. Am I alone in thinking that 3 weeks in a row of special episodes is 1 week too many?
Like I said, I miss Buzzy. I miss watching Buzzy.
Me too.
I can understand being a little burnt out of not watching the regular show. I mean, if you're going to cut Power Players Week and move it to like the summer, I don't know. I wouldn't be so sad.
I really love watching the tournaments, but I do see how it can get kind of when you have them back to back, it's sort of not as cool anymore, because when they come up, you're like, oh, it's a tournament. I love these things. But then it's kind of, if you put them back to back, it's just I don't even know if they're having a tournament this July. I haven't heard of one. They usually put one in July, but I don't think they are, because the teens are not until September or whatever. So I'm kind of disappointed, because I want to watch one in July.
Teens were supposed to be in July, I think, and then they moved it to September, if I remember right, reading that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And I think it's only 3 weeks to kind of give the appearance of recency, because they don't want to split the DC up 3 times.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
So I don't even know how they're gonna try to fudge the teen tournament being in September. Join us when we're back in DC.
Well,
we were 3 months ago, but it was really 2 days after the other one taped. So
also, they're gonna introduce us to a senior from wherever, and person's gonna already be in college.
Though, to be honest with you, I think Wheel of Fortune tends to sometimes split up when they go around the country a little bit. I suspect, they did this month Wheel of Fortune has done a Seattle theme, a Denver theme.
They're in Philadelphia.
I think they're on Philadelphia this week.
it did seem at one point they were in Hawaii
nonstop.
Every week for 2 years.
I noticed that too.
Well, on Wheel, every week is a theme week, so it's I guess they sort of going places is part of their thing. They do, but
there's no continuity.
I think they need to go back to their Friday finals format, back from the late '90s, where they played 4 games. They brought in 12, and then the top 3 scorers came back on Friday.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I remember growing up,
My friend Ryan would be. I'm sure my friend Ryan will be glad I brought that up, because he was on back during that Friday finals era. If you ever watch his game, he's probably ran into one of the luckiest stretches you can run into in Wheel of Fortune, as in, well, it's 15 years old, it's 18 years old now, but the episode. But yeah, opponent on 16,000 spins bankrupt.
Oh.
Next opponent, there's 3 letters left in the puzzle, calls the wrong letter, then spins, and then spins 3,500. That's pretty much the definition of horseshoes. But, and that's probably the most you'll hear me talk about Wheel of Fortune on Jeopardy Live panel. Sorry about that. Any other questions?
I have a question for Jill. I think you and I are both thinking about the same questions over and over again. And I'm kind of masochistic about it. I've got the game on my computer, and like I will literally watch like myself fail like once a day.
Oh no.
Oh.
And but I think it's very cathartic in that way. Plus, I was also in that semifinals highlight reel. But I'm wondering, like, and I think for anyone watching this, it's like I think everybody has something that they can't let go of.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
like I mean, you know, 2 out of every 3 people lose every game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even champions are losing.
Don't say that.
All right, you and Brad Rutter will be. Well, you will lose to a supercomputer. So.
But I have a hammer.
You are the Jasonator.
Oh, that reminds me of something. I have to write a joke down.
Oh, goody.
So, yeah. So
It's,
anyway,
for,
Joe.
it's for a project I'm working on.
So what were you asking, Corey?
So, Joe, I'm curious how much. I'm hoping you're just feeling better after, 5 weeks. So I'm just making sure that you are not getting deeper into this quagmire of shame, and you're getting out of it like I am.
Do you know, I mean, honestly, Corey, it's not that I minded getting 3rd place. I just think it was amazing that I ever got that far, and I think it was awesome that I got 3rd place. I just minded, like, not knowing the stuff I actually knew.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really conscious of, OMG, people think a competent English teacher, and I'm a very educated person. Crud, I've got 2 master's degrees. Like, why don't I know basic flippin' facts, right? But that being said, I don't know. I mean, I've let go of it to some extent, but I'm too much like this anyway, and I have to watch this perfectionistic tendency, because here's something that and boy, you know what? Every time I go on this live panel, I just say whatever. So here it comes. The thing that really stood out to me about watching myself on TV is not, my couple. I don't care about Great Bear Lake, but not Elements of Style and Toni Morrison. But I just looked at myself on TV and I thought, oh my gosh, what could I have been and done? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, wow, I look really comfortable on camera. Should I have gone into broadcasting, right? And I think stuff like that. And I think, wow, I can think on my feet. Maybe I should do something. I don't know. It was a little, I would say it was more empowering than defeating to go on Jeopardy for me. Because all this time I've been going, OMG, I'm 50 pounds overweight. I look terrible. And then I looked at myself on TV and I'm like, I don't look that terrible. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and all this time I've gone, trivia is not really my thing. I'm okay. And then I'm like, crud, I won 2 games of Jeopardy. I must be okay. Do you know what I mean? So, I found it kind of empowering in a way. I mean, yeah, for sure would have been great if I hadn't, blown it on a couple questions. I wasn't probably going to beat Jason anyway, and very certainly could have hit those daily doubles instead of me and creamed me anyway, right? So yeah, I think I'm starting to get it in perspective. I was not excited for the final round to air because I was just going, oh my God, I humiliated myself on national television. And, it wasn't great, but the feedback that I got from people was, wow, you had a great attitude. Mm. And, wow, I mean, all these people, and this is bizarro, all these people keep saying, you just made us really proud that you were representing us as Iowans, right? Because Iowa gets a super bad rap all the time. I mean, just does. They're like, wow, you were legit and you're from Iowa. So that was cool too. So that was a way longer answer than you probably wanted.
From what I know about Iowa, I think I personally would quite enjoy loose meat sandwiches, but
I just started singing that one song from the Music Man in my head. You got to give
Yeah.
Iowa a try.
Aw, there you go.
But like, yeah, I found that like everyone who, what they remember about your game is not that like you said Great Britain was a country that had a state called New South Wales, but like that you were on the show in the first place, and like, you were on Jeopardy. Like that's
Yeah.
a cool thing. So
Absolutely.
like they don't remember the like embarrassing stuff you did. They remember the good stuff.
Most people who watched my games were like, oh, it was such a bummer you had to hit such hard daily doubles. And they weren't hard. We all know they weren't hard. But they're like, those ones that Jason got, those were easy. And I'm like, yeah, because he knew them. But,
everything's easy when you know it.
yeah, isn't that the darn truth?
Yeah.
So, a theory from Matt Carberry at MFC248. I wonder if they wanted to use more DC episodes near the first presidential debate versus a dead time in the election calendar.
I just grimaced at the word presidential debates. I don't actually have anything to say about that theory.
Let's go with maybe and just leave it at that.
I'm Canadian. I don't have. I'm not supposed to have a political opinion about your country. Our leader is like throwing Gordie Howe elbows in the House of Commons, but.
But Alex is Canadian too, and he clearly has political opinions.
This is true.
So,
Andy, at least he's not
Alex
throwing
is
the.
actually spending more time in Canada as of late, which is really strange because he hasn't, the last few years. Apparently, he's supposed to be back up in Canada again. At least, I heard a rumor he's supposed to be in Ottawa again at the start of June, and there are a couple of other rumors that some people are talking about, or at least some people mentioned to me when I was at an event this past weekend regarding possibilities in Alex Trebek. But I won't go into those any farther. But just in case I know too much or not enough. But apparently he's spending more time in Canada now.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look, Alyssa just commented as well with an I miss Buzzy too.
Oh,
I mean, Buzzy, it's such a perfect Jeopardy name. Like, really.
exactly.
There's like those,
like Clark Kent.
like those studies that said like, if you have a name that matches your profession, you're like more likely to be that profession or whatever. Well, that's like Buzzy for Jeopardy, because if there's any other Jeopardy like any name that's more perfect for Jeopardy, I don't know it. Maybe Alex, but
I'm sure if he had been on the show and been slow on the buzzer, he would have gotten a lot of grief for it.
probably.
Well, as it turns out, he's got 5 wins under his belt, and he's back next Monday for number 6. So, to try for number 6. Anyone want to make any sort of predictions as to how it goes for him?
Jason, you think you can take him in the Tournament of Champions?
Well, I'm not answering that.
I don't want to jinx anything, so I'm staying out of this.
Not saying a word. Not
Oh dear. Okay. Oh my. Wow. Matt seems to know a lot about Canadian politics with his last response. Apparently, he saw that, and perhaps Ms. Brosseau can recover with a holiday in Las Vegas. Wow. I have to say, for an American, that is a deep, deep cut with the reference. I am impressed. If I remember correctly, I believe back in the 2011 election, Miss Brosseau came under fire for going to Las Vegas during that 2011 campaign, in which she somehow managed to get elected on the coattails of Jack Layton. But I hope I got that reference right, being Canadian and all. But any other questions for the between panelists at this point?
I don't think so. Me.
Okay. Well, at this point, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and for putting up with the technical difficulties I had on my end at the start. As was mentioned on the hashtag, there's something about the tournaments that does this. But
Boo.
thank you guys for all of you for being able to come on to Jeopardy Live panel tonight. Once again, you can always subscribe to the audio simulcast of Jeopardy Live panel on iTunes. Also, I believe Google Play Music has the podcast now. So if you are on Android, you can subscribe using Google Play Music. I believe I've got that set up now, but if not, that'll happen in the next little while. But best of luck to you in your studying for the tournament, Jason.
Thanks, Andy.
And also congratulations to both. All three of you, Corey for making it to the semifinals, Kaberi and Jill for making it to the finals.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you very much for inviting me. This was a unique experience, and I appreciate having done it.
I'm glad you were able to get the invitation eventually, and that you were able to make it on.
Thank you again. I'm going to go now, but thank all of you very much, and I'm sure I will be communicating with most of you at some point in the very near future.
Great. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And to everyone else here on who tuning in, again, I am going to end the broadcast. If you're listening on the audio simulcast, you'll hear the... actually, you know what? I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to read out the credits this evening, because that will save me from having to splice them in later. So once again, the moderator is Andy Saunders. The founder of the JeopardyFan.com is Jeannie Kenkel. Obviously, your panelists this evening, we've got Kaberi Chakrabarty, Aria Gerson, Jill Gilbert, Corey Harris, and Jason Sterlacki. Special thanks to Mark Barrett, Liz Fritz, Jennifer Morrow, and Jerry Shaw. Once again, the Jeopardy Game Show and all elements thereof, including but not limited to copyright and trademark thereto, are the property of Jeopardy Productions Incorporated and are protected under law. The JeopardyFan.com and Jeopardy Live panel is not affiliated with, sponsored by, or operated by Jeopardy Productions Incorporated. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have a great night. After Power Players Week, by the way, there will not be a Jeopardy Live panel. I'll be taking a week off. And then my guess is if Buzzy happens to lose before the end of the week, I will make an effort to try to get an interview with him shortly after he loses. And if he happens to make it through another week, then at some point following that, there will be a full video version of Jeopardy Live panel. Once again, thank you very much. I will be ending the broadcast now. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a great night.